Hello cherry lovers, today I have another great recipe for you. It is called seasoned stuffed chicken and cheese rolls and it is delicious, so stay tuned. Okay, we're gonna go over the ingredients. In this bowl here I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and in this cup, this is important, remember this is 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast. It is not your regular yeast. It's the instant, the quick yeast. And here we have a tablespoon of granulated white sugar. Here we have 3 tablespoons of softened, make sure it's softened, butter. Here we have 1 cup of warm milk. Of course, this milk is not warm yet, but it will be before I put it into my recipe. Here we have an egg, 1 large egg beaten. And over here we have the ingredients for your filling for the rolls. We have here 1 medium onion, finely diced. And here we have 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Here we have 1 cup of chicken breast, shredded and cooked. This chicken breast is already cooked. And then here we have 1 stalk of green onion. And in this cup we have 1 cup of shredded carrots, which is equal to 1 large carrot stick. Here we have 1 teaspoon of garlic, which is about roughly 1 large garlic piece. And right there we have a egg. It's a large egg. It's actually beaten, but you won't be using all of that. That egg is going to be used for your glaze on your rolls. Now we have all of our ingredients out of the way. Let's get started. Okay guys, let's get started. First here we have our flour in our bowl. I'm using my KitchenAid, but remember you don't have to have a KitchenAid, but you will need a heavy duty wooden spoon to stir it if you're not going to use the KitchenAid. And the first thing we're going to add in here is our yeast, and then we're going to add in the sugar. Then we're going to add in, which I did not mention, but we're going to add in a teaspoon of salt. You don't want to forget our salt. And then we're just going to mix that up. Make sure our yeast and salt and sugar is really combined and mixed up thoroughly in here. That only takes about 10-15 seconds. Okay, we've got that all mixed up. Now, the next thing you're going to add in is your warm milk. Now, you want to just make sure that you test your milk, because you don't want it too hot. But one of the ways you can do it is just put it on your wrist and make sure that it's warm and not cold, because if it's too cold, it's not going to activate the yeast. And if it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. We're just going to add in the milk. And another way that Larry said to test your milk is to simply remember the type of milk, the warmthness that you set and made for your child. Okay, next thing we're going to add in is our butter, our 2-3 tablespoons of butter, and then we're going to add in the egg. Okay, now again, I'm going to be using my KitchenAid, and if you want to use a KitchenAid, turn it on for about 3 to 5 minutes, and if you're only using the spoon, you want to actually mix that for about 5 to 8 minutes. And I will show you the consistency of what it's supposed to look like when I'm all done. Okay, I'm going to turn this on and let it get started. And in about 3 to 5 minutes, when it gets to the consistency, then I'll be back. Okay guys, I wanted to share with you real quick about the spoon. If you use this by hand, if you beat up your dough by hand, you want to make sure that you use a nice, solid, heavy wooden spoon. And you're going to spend about 5 to 8 minutes stirring your dough up. And this is the consistency that you're looking for. So you see the consistency here? That's the consistency that you're looking for when you finish beating up the dough. That's what you're looking for. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, let's take this off, remove the... I'm using gloves so it won't stick to my hand. I've already put some oil on my hand. We're going to remove this. And we're going to take the bowl out. And we're going to leave it in the same bowl that it's in. And we're going to put some saran wrap over it. And then I'm going to place a towel over this bowl. Now what you want to do, you want to put this in a warm spot. I have a proofer on my oven, so I'm just going to put it in my oven and turn it on proofing. But if you don't have proofing, just put it in a warm spot and let it sit there for 90 minutes. This will give it time for the dough to rise. And if you don't, remember that if you don't have a warm spot, it's going to take longer. So if it's in a cooler spot, it's going to take a little longer to actually rise. So I'm going to put this in my oven, and then I'll be back and show you how to assemble the rest of the recipe. Okay guys, the next step in this recipe is I've added the 2 tablespoons of olive oil into my skillet already, and I've let that kind of heat up a little bit. The next step is to add in your chopped onions. And what you want to do here is get those mixed up, spread out in that oil, and then you want to let these brown, not brown, but just lightly brown till they're nice and translucent. And that's going to take actually about 3, maybe 5 minutes. So I'm going to get that all mixed up, get those lightly brown, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, our onions are ready, and the next thing we're going to add in here is our garlic, and then we're going to let that cook for probably about 30 seconds. But what I wanted to share with you real quick here is our seasonings. This is something that I left off at the beginning of the recipe, but what you're going to use as your seasonings for the filling, slide this over, for the filling that goes inside of your rolls is a 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. Then you're going to use a teaspoon of dried parsley. You're going to use a teaspoon of salt, and you're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Those are your seasonings for that. And just a little bit. And I'm sure that's been about 30 seconds. So the next thing you're going to add in is your green onions. Put that in there. And then we're going to give that a little stir. And we're going to add in our carrots, the shredded carrots. And kind of mix that around. And we're just going to let that kind of saute for a couple of minutes, and I'll be right back to show you how to assemble the rest of it. Okay guys, now what we're going to do from here, we're going to pour in our seasonings and mix those up really well. Just a few seconds here. And the next thing we're going to do, we want to add in a teaspoon of flour, all-purpose flour, just a teaspoonful. Because you're going to have a little thickener in there, and you want to stir that up. Get that all stirred up completely. Oh, the fragrance. You'll love the fragrance while you're cooking this. The garlic, the onions, even the turmeric you can smell really well. Okay, got that nice and stirred up. Now the next thing we want to pour in is our chicken. And then we're going to stir that up. Just kind of get it coated in your seasonings. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to add in is our milk. This milk does not have to be warm, guys. You just add in a cup of milk into this. I don't think I added that in our ingredients at the beginning of the video, so just know this part has 1 cup of milk in it, and what you want to do is turn that to a medium, maybe a little higher than a medium, and you want to let that cook until all of your milk is completely dried up. Get that nice and coated, everything nice and coated in the seasonings with the milk. Turn your temperature up to about a medium high, but keep an eye on it, stirring occasionally check on it. I'll turn that up one more notch. Okay, so you're gonna let that cook, and that's probably gonna take about 5 minutes. We'll set the timer to see. But yeah, let that cook for about 5 minutes until all of your milk is completely cooked out. And after that's cooked out, I'll be right back. Okay guys, as you can see, the milk is completely cooked out. Be mindful though, I turned it up to like a medium high, and after a couple of minutes you're gonna have to turn that down a little bit. And then I turn it back down to medium, and then let it cook the rest of the milk out. But it's all cooked out, and the next step you wanna do here is simply set that aside, turn off your eye, and let that cool down. Because it has to be completely cool when you go to stuff the rolls. Now the rolls are not quite done yet, so once the 90-minute time frame is up, then I'm gonna come back and show you what to do from there. And I wanted to remind you, make sure you get out a heaping cup. This is a heaping cup full of mozzarella cheese that we're also going to be stuffing with the filling inside of the rolls. Stay tuned. Okay guys, this next step, we let that rise for the 90 minutes, and I'm gonna pour this out. I floured the cutting board. Actually, it's mine. Okay, let's get that out of there. You're gonna take the dough out. Okay, there you go. You don't have to knead this or anything. That's the cool part. Just get it spread out a bit. You want to try and put it in a round shape here as best you can. And now, the next thing you're going to have to do, I've got this little metal cutter. You're going to try and cut them dead center as evenly as you can, and they don't have to be perfect because mine aren't always perfect. Okay, and you want to try and get ten pieces. Now let's start over here. Here's my 10 pieces. Now, this is really, really simple. You take one of your pieces, roll it under, roll it under, roll it under. See how I'm just tucking the ends under? And that's all you do. Tuck those ends under, pinch the bottom together, and I place a piece of parchment paper on here, and I've oiled it so that it doesn't stick. And we're going to rest it on this paper, and as we finish, we're going to let it actually sit in a warm place for another 30 minutes. But this part is very simple. You keep tucking the edges under. Pinching them together. And then you're going to place them like so. Now roll that under. You keep tucking the edges under, pinching them together. So simple. You can try to get those pieces as evenly as possible. It's okay if you don't get them perfectly even. I haven't actually got them all perfectly even, not once. Put that together. And again, we're just going to roll those under, tucking those ends in, pinching them together. I probably should take these gloves off. It'd probably be a lot easier. I was thinking it's going to stick, but I think it's past the stage of sticking. So you continue to tuck that under, pinch those bottom pieces together, and we're going to remove the gloves. I think it'll be easier. Okay, we're gonna do one more. I'm gonna show you how to do one more without the gloves. Really simple. Just continue to pinch and tuck. Pinch, tuck. Tuck and pinch. Really simple. And of course it's not sticking at this point. Pinch that under together. And that's another thing, as I said, I really like about this recipe. There's no a whole lot of manual where you gotta knead and knead and knead and knead some more. It goes into a ball. And that's it. So I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera, and then I'm going to actually cover that and sit it in a warm place, of course, in my oven. I'm going to turn it on proofing and then give it a 30 minutes timer, and then I'll be back to show you how to stuff these amazing rolls. Okay guys, this is the fun part. As you can see here, they have risen very nicely. Look how big that is. I floured my cutting board nicely, and I have my rolling pin here. So the only thing you're going to do is flatten that down with your hand, flip it over, flatten it again, and I just count 4 times. You don't want to stretch this so far that it pulls apart or anything, but just pull it about 4 times. And then we're going to roll it, let's say about 8 inches. It can be about 8 inches long. Now you got this part. Turn it sideways. And do it again. Get it rolled out. And then flip it again. And you can stretch this out pretty thin. And it won't hurt a thing, because you want to get it out, stretched out about 8 inches, like I said, so you can have enough room to put your filling in. Okay. All right. Next thing you're going to do, I've got some of the filling over here in this bowl. You want to scoop up a good heaping tablespoon. Like that. Press that down just a little bit. Spread it out. I'm going to get the rest of that tablespoon in there. Okay, and then over here I have that heaping cup of mozzarella cheese. You want to take a heaping tablespoon, put it on top. And then you want to fold this over. Just simple, no special way. Fold that over. Connect your ends down there. It's not fancy or anything, but here's the thing I want you to see. When you fold this top up and you put your finger right there, turn it, stretch it just a little bit. You don't want to stretch it far. Roll it, stretch it a little bit, roll it. Then you got your seam down here. You want to place that seam down inside your dish. Now this is my 2.2 quart glass dish. It's not the big one, not the 3 quart. Now, very simple, right? So I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera. I got 2 more to put in here. And then you're going to actually cover this with your saran wrap and let it sit for another 30 minutes, and then I'll be back to show you what to do from there. Okay guys, final step before it goes into the oven. I wanted to just say this recipe is a little bit longer than some of the other recipes that I do, but it is so worth it. It is delicious. It's not hard. It just has a few more steps than the other ones. So if you make this video, if you make this recipe, I mean, let me know how it turns out. Okay, then this last step here is where we just glaze the roll. This is just 1 egg beat up very well, as you can see. And we're just going to glaze that. I've already did the first 2. I've already done the first 2, as you can see. And then we're just going to glaze the rest of these with this egg wash. And you may have a little bit of filling left over. Just freeze it for your next time. Okay. And here I have about a tablespoon of parsley flakes, dried parsley flakes. And you just want to sprinkle some of them on there. You don't have to use this step. It's optional, but you can. All right, we've got that all done. And now I'm gonna place these in the oven for 20 minutes. And then I will come back and show you what they look like. Okay guys, the timer's gone off and it's time to take them out of the oven. Oh my goodness, look at that. Nice and golden brown. And I am going to be right back and then I'm gonna show you what they look like on the inside. Okay guys, I've already taken a couple of them out, but I wanted to take one out so I can show you what they look like on the inside. Oh, look at that. Look at that, guys. Oh, the flavor, the cheese, the onions. I would take a bite of it, but I'm kind of thinking it might be still a little too warm even though I've taken it out. But let's just try and see. That mozzarella cheese, I hope I don't have anything in my mouth. That is so good. You have to try this recipe. It is delicious. It did take a little bit longer. It had a few more steps, but that's okay. It is so worth the time that it took. I want you guys to look up here. You see that? Like and subscribe. Don't forget, guys, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I read all of your comments and I will respond. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.